All right, it's Groove 99.3, Bakersfield's home for old school and throwbacks. And Adelaide hanging out for Groove in the Neighborhood. What's happening in the 661 and really kind of around the 661 too. And this week's guest is Adam Bell. Now, you're the program director, Pyles Boys Camp, or what's the title?
Title is executive director.
Executive director. So the program director is more of a radio term, sorry. But executive director, Pyles Boys Camp. And it's something I've known about it. I've heard about it for a few years now, but thank goodness I'm on your email list for things. You know what I mean? Because I felt like with COVID, took a couple years off, and then it came back up in my email feed. I'm like, oh, okay, let's reach out to these guys too, because it's in the area. It's throughout Kern County, but throughout California too, right?
Yeah, we serve boys from Kern County down to Orange County and out west to Santa Barbara County and everywhere in between. But we have a large footprint in Kern County for sure.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And you guys watching right now, just maybe Adam, give them a breakdown of what the organization does and is.
Sure. Pyles Boys Camp's been around since 1949, and we find disadvantaged low-income boys who are deserving of our program, which is a 2-week leadership wilderness camp experience where the boys will come up to our camp, participate in a lot of traditional camp activities, go on a long backpacking trip, and they return to the city after that. And they can earn the right to come back through a multi-year program, starting when they're 12, all the way through a college or trade school scholarship. And all of that is done completely free to for the boys and their families.
Oh, very cool. So a lot of times these boys come from the city, right? I mean, it rarely do they get out and actually get in the wilderness and actually camp. And when you say camping, what are we talking? Is there water, electricity?
Yeah, a little bit. We spoil them a little in Maine. Traditionally spend a few days in rustic cabins. So it's nothing more than a thin mattress and canvas walls. So it gets a little chilly, but we do have showers and restrooms. But then when they go on their out camp backpacking trip, they throw everything they need in their backpack. They sleep under the stars. They cook their own meals. They clean up after themselves, and they do what they need to do to exist in nature.
That, you know what? I'm kind of a city guy, but I have been camping. I've done it before. I've went in a tent and everything. But I'll be honest, sleeping under the stars, what is that like? Oh my gosh.
I come from the Northeast where all of our camping and backpacking, we carry tents. So it was new for me as well when I came out to California. It's a little nerve-wracking the first time. And then, that first time you wake up at 3 a.m. and you look up and you see the Milky Way with no light pollution, and see shooting stars, you're like, I could get used to this. So
wow, that actually sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, part of that, that's part of our program, though. Everything we do is intentional, but we create some uncomfortable situations for our boys. So they have to learn, they have to grow, they have to come together as a cabin unit and rely on their camp counselor, who's usually a young adult, a positive male role model. And it's something that boy may not have in the city, is a positive male role model. So we want them to learn how to rely on someone who's well-trained, who's safe, who's compassionate, and who can help them take the next steps they need.
Very cool. And one of the things you mentioned, it's Pyles Boys Camp for at-risk youth and boys. Now, kind of just for those people that don't know, what does at-risk mean?
Yeah, so at-risk is a term a lot of folks have heard of. We prefer the term disadvantaged. So they're boys that largely from low-income areas, a lot of single-parent households, perhaps underfunded schools or underfunded communities without a lot of resources. But we're looking for good kids in those situations who want to achieve more, who show something to their parents or their guidance counselor that they're capable of leadership. They just may not know it themselves. They may not have an opportunity to practice that. So we're able to expand their worldview a little, and they can meet boys from other cities. They can meet boys who were in their seat just a few years ago, who are now first generation college graduates or business owners or entering the workforce and making something of themselves.
Okay. So these they're disadvantaged. it's probably low income. It's probably the like what we consider like a rough neighborhood, maybe. I mean, there's things around, but this gives them the opportunity to see other things, including the outdoors, which I feel like there's not a lot of opportunity for that besides the local park.
Yeah, just being in nature is part of the program. There's studies that show spending time in nature lowers blood pressure, it lowers anxiety, it lowers stress. And certainly over the last 2 years, we've all been spending a lot of time indoors looking at computer screens. No knock to everyone watching right now, but
right.
Getting outside and just decompressing and unplugging does good things for us, not just mentally, but physically as well.
Wow, that's amazing too. And then just maybe talk about like in Bakersfield, because we're in Bakersfield, Kern County. Where's the outreach at? I mean, how does someone find out or get involved with this program?
We work with all sorts of different schools, and so teachers, guidance counselors, school resource officers, Little League coaches, after school programs. So if there are any adults out there who work with children, they're welcome to reach out to us if they want to refer boys to our free program. If there's any parents watching who don't know how to get signed up, they can contact us and we will put them in touch with somebody who's connected with our program, and they can help us decide if that boy is the right fit for the program or not.
Yeah, that's amazing too. Because again, you talk about opportunities. Sometimes those opportunities don't exist, or they don't know how to access those opportunities. So it gives youth a chance to do these things that they might not do, because on a regular day it's probably unfortunately it's probably a lot of screen time on a daily basis for a lot of kids. And I know I have an 11-year-old, and if I don't pull them away from it sometimes, it'll hours will go by, and you're like, all right, you got to take a break from the TikTok and everything too. So now where exactly is the camp?
So we are in the Giant Sequoia National Monument. So from Bakersfield, you'd drive east to Lake Isabella, go north to Kernville, and then about another hour straight up into the mountains. So for folks who are backpackers, we're near the Golden Trout Wilderness. We're near the George Bush Tree, near the little town of Johnsondale. But we're one of 3 driveways on a 23-mile road. So it's very remote. And that helps with our program too. There's not a lot of distractions. The boys can just be present. Our staff can be present. I can be present and not have the distractions of the busy life of the city around us.
What's the kids' reaction? Like one that's like never seen anything like that. I mean, walk me through the reaction.
Yeah, I think day one there's a lot of apprehension. They spend 2-3 hours on the bus from Bakersfield. They get dropped off, and we actually don't drop them off in camp. We drop them off a few miles away, and they form their groups, and they have to hike into camp. So they just from the first moment they get there, they're a little bit uncomfortable, off balance. And I think 2, 3, 4 days into the program, you just see them starting to really get it and understand it. And we have the opposite on the other end. When camp is over and they have to readjust going into the city, there's this, I wish I was back there. I wish my phone wasn't dinging all the time. But yeah, they're uncomfortable, but that helps them come together as a cabin group. And a boy from Bakersfield might have to rely on a boy from Oildale and a boy from Orange County and their counselor from Oxnard to come together, to be uncomfortable together, to lean on each other when they're having moments of homesickness. And they can build those lifelong relationships, those lifelong friendships, and then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, because I really think even for me, when we do go camping or anything like that, there's a little bit of technology withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like, am I going to be on my phone? I got to be able to connect with people that way. And you forget that, like, hey, you don't need technology to connect with people. They're right there. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a way of putting our campers in a controlled, risky situation. So it's risky that they're going to be uncomfortable, that they aren't relying on everything that they rely on. But being done in a safe way, that's when we see growth.
Now does DoorDash deliver out there?
I haven't tried. That would be one heck of a delivery surcharge, or at least a good tip on that one.
Because that's what I think about too. I mean, the comforts of the city, and then going to, because this is basically the wilderness you take them to, and there's really nothing around. So you bring in your own food, you bring in changes of clothes, you bring in. I mean, if you're gonna cook, you gotta bring in stuff to make a fire, everything, right?
Yeah, in our main camp, we do have an industrial kitchen, and our boys eat very well. That's one of our traditions going back 60, 70 years, that we feed these boys. We fill up their stomachs, so that's one thing off the list that they may not have down in the city, or expose them to different foods, seconds and thirds, and as much as they need. And then we burn those calories with our activities. But when they go backpacking, they might be 15, 20, 30 miles away from the nearest road. So they're carrying everything. They're cooking their food.
Wow.
They're stuff out of cans, and they're cleaning everything, which is a challenge in the backcountry as well. But that makes them appreciate the food we have in camp. And then when they go home, it makes them appreciate what they have there as well.
Absolutely. So there's no Jack in the Box drive-through.
No, we no knock on Jack in the Box, but
right.
our food is much, much better up there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's basically a home cooked meal, really. I mean, and there's a lot to be said just for that.
Yeah, we do all our meals family style, so the boys have to learn, to ask politely for someone to pass the serving dish. We wait for everybody to have food before we're eating. So they're practicing manners without us, shoving that lesson in their face. They're working on that as a community.
Yeah, yes, that's amazing too. Because again, that's one of those things. Sometimes in this fast-paced world that we've got, you just, you microwave a dinner, a pot pie for the kid. Because I'm guilty of it too. Hey, here's something to eat. Come on, we got, I got some more work to do. So it's nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I've gotten a call from a parent months after camp, and I picked up. I said, "What did you do to my kid?" And after that moment of panic, they're like, "They're cleaning, they're doing laundry, they cook dinner, they do the dishes after they cook." I'm like, "Okay, all right," but it's and now it's the guys who go through multiple years of our program. It's a point of pride on who's the best cook in camp, who's the best cook in the backcountry, who can cook a good meal down in the city. So it's one of those basic life skills that we can teach.
That's awesome. Hey, quick shout out real quick. DJ EVP is watching, checking in. And EVP, you might be a little too old for the program. I'm thinking, what's the cutoff age?
We start 12 to 15. You can get into our first year program, but we're looking for volunteers and staff most summers from other folks in the community.
Now, and we know DJ EVP, he's more of a camper type guy. So I don't know if in a sleeping bag looking at the stars, I don't know.
They're doing some good things with those Starlink dishes. You could throw it on your backpack and have a TV maybe. So.
But DJ EVP, I don't know. It might be a great experience. I don't know. Yeah, hit up Adam over there because there are volunteer opportunities as well. So wherever you're from, whatever you do in your regular day to day, you can still help out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially we do a big barbecue in May behind Lake Ming. That's where most folks in Bakersfield seem to know us. Is our barbecue fundraiser, but we have a couple hundred volunteers at that event, and we just couldn't do it without them.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so so we just missed that by a month, but next year we'll be on the ball with that one too. So okay, cool. Now and then the camping, the boys camp. What's the time frame on that when you guys go up there?
We do in a typical year, we do 5 sessions. Our first session just ended on Tuesday, and that we had 50 boys from Bakersfield up at camp. So our next session will start, next session will start on Monday. So we have another group of boys getting ready to get on the bus. They're packing up right now, getting ready for Monday. So we typically go as soon as the first school in Southern California gets out. So 2 weeks ago was that time. And we will go till mid-August. And our boys do 2-week sessions, and there's typically 5 of those 2-week sessions that we offer.
Very cool. And EVP saying, yeah, sounds like a great program for the youth. And I feel like, mentioning that too, there's nothing really like it.
No, I mean, there's other camps in California that do archery and do backpacking, but I think what makes us unique is the boy that we try and find. So the boy who can't afford to go to one of those other camps, a boy who's in a maybe tough circumstances, but is craving that experience, or their parents or their guidance counselor sees that they're craving that experience. So the type of boy we serve makes us really unique. And the fact that it's no cost, that we get our funding from the community, makes us unique as well.
Yeah, that's amazing too, because it sounds like a lot goes into this. I mean, you're talking transportation, you're talking food for these kids, and I don't know if they charge you to be up at those campsites or whatever, but there's other stuff you got to cover. And now I know with COVID for the last couple of years, the barbecue we had last month it had been a couple years, right?
Yeah, we offered a modified one in 2021. We had no event in 2020, and we're just so grateful that the community still came out after a couple years away, and our corporate sponsors stood behind us throughout COVID, and came back in with some strength this year to help support us. Because all those things you mentioned, they're getting more and more expensive every year, and we want to keep feeding our boys. We want to keep filling those buses and creating better men for the community.
Very cool. And this has been going on for years.
Yeah, since 1949. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting our founder, Bob Pyles. His great-great-granddaughter was at our barbecue this year, and got to meet her for the first time.
Amazing. And he was the one who started this, and it was just out of a need to give the kids an opportunity, huh?
Yeah, the middle of the 1940s, World War II, a lot of orphaned boys and young men throughout the country, and there was a big need for that. And sadly, that need still exists today of boys who are in need of positive male role models, of father figures, of just some good old-fashioned fun and positive programming.
Very cool, very cool. And then what are, like, when they're at the camp, what are some other activities they do? I know there's hiking and cooking. Is there fishing or anything, or?
Yeah, we go fishing in the creeks and the mountain stream, or the mountain lakes that we have near us. The boys will rotate through fitness, nutrition, arts and crafts, high ropes course, archery, and a nature programming, and do a lot of fun camp specific type activities too that you got to find out when you get up there.
Okay, very cool. It's cooler right up there? I mean, it's.
Yeah, we could have a day in the 90s, and then at night it's in the 30s, and you wake up with frost on your sleeping bag, and then the next day's in the 90s again. So it's mountain weather is a little bit different, but
it's wide range.
Yeah, you can get real hot in the day, but the creeks and streams are snow fed and spring fed, so they're ice cold. Then at night we just have to have the right equipment to stay warm and sit by the fire and do it all again the next day.
Tell ghost stories, anything like that?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, age appropriate ghost stories. We don't want.
Looks like Ivan's checking in. Can we bring him on here? Ivan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, we're just talking about you. Were your ears ringing?
Yeah, a little bit actually.
I was just kidding. But Adam, you want to introduce Ivan?
Yeah, so Ivan is a former camper participant in our program, and now after recently graduating college has joined our full-time team as our program director. So he is primarily responsible after those boys go through the first 2 weeks of their program. They now connect with Ivan, who provides them with mentoring and events in the city throughout the year, and he stays with them to make sure they're on the right path from the time they're 12 until they get to young adulthood.
Very cool. So Ivan, you went through the program, and then now you're a part of it, huh?
Yeah, it's still a little bit surreal to actually have seen it be done at the age of 12, and then at the age of starting at the age of 18 to actually cancel and be a part of it on the other side is still a little bit crazy for me.
I gotta ask. So the first time you went, you were 12 years old?
Yes, I think I had just turned 13. I think.
Just turned 13. Were you nervous?
Oh, very nervous. I was. I I didn't spend a lot of time with other kids. I didn't get to go out a lot. So it was actually my first time going out outside of home. Um, and it was just a lot of things that I wasn't used to, like eating together, like as a group. To me, that was crazy at the time because I always ate alone, whether it was at home or at school. I would always find a way to be alone. So that was even like little things like that would be nerve wracking for me. And then also like just like all the time spent with other people was different for me. I wasn't used to all that.
Yeah, because I think about that too. Because you're wait, are you Shafter? Or are you Wasco? You're Wasco, right?
I was at the
Is that my
time I was
Wi-Fi
in Lost
dropping?
Hills.
But you're in Wasco, right, Ivan?
I'm in Wasco right now. At the time I was in Lost Hills.
Lost Hills. Okay, okay. So kind of a rural town for those that.
I think we're freezing again. Can you hear me okay?
Stand up routine time.
All right. I guess I could play host right now while we wait for him to reconnect. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about some of the successes you've seen in the program or some of the growth you see in the boys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is always sometimes we get kids who either aren't sure they want to be there, are nervous about being there, or are just straight up like, I don't want to be here. I was sent here. My parents told me to come here. Um, I I I I don't want to be here at all. And so it's crazy to see them go from that to, middle of the session or end of the session. They're they're hugging everybody that they were kind of arguing with. They're hugging the staff that they were arguing with before. They're saying, they're saying, they're calling kids from other cabins brothers. They're they're clapping at every announcement that's made.
Did we
and
come back? I think we're back.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry about that.
We got you.
Some technical difficulties. Ivan, okay, there's Ivan. Sorry about that. And Adam. Now see that the internet connection sometimes gets wonky, but you won't have to deal with it when you're at camp, right? There's no Wi-Fi.
Not at all.
You're sitting
up there.
across from people and you're like, hey, look, real people. So, and Ivan, sorry about that. It just kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's on my side or where, but it might be on my side. But we're talking about that just, as a 13-year-old kid getting the opportunity to go camping. And I'm just thinking, man, at 13 years old, I would have probably been scared out of mind to be like, wait, you're taking me where? Wait, I'm going to be in a sleeping bag in the wilderness? I mean, it's just amazing. And how many years did you actually do it then, Ivan?
So I did it for, as a camper, I did it for 2 years. I went for camper year and then Linear year. And then after that, I wasn't able to continue because, so like you said, it's nerve-wracking at first, but I actually fell in love with it to the point where I had 2 ingrown toenails at the time, and they were pretty bad. And it's hiking is a big part of the program, but I loved this so much that I was trying to hide it from the nurse that checks you out before you go backpacking. So we have a nurse at camp, and right before you go backpacking, they check your feet out to make sure you're okay. And whereas I think a lot of kids aren't the biggest fans of backpacking at first, like it got to the point where I really wanted to go despite, being in pain and being whatever was going on with my feet. So I think that says less about me and my mentality than more about how easy it is to fall in love with the program and kind of the extent that a young man like myself was willing to go to be part of it and continue to be part of something that they love.
And ingrown toenails are not fun.
They're not. I had 2 of them, and
oh my God.
Yeah, I was hiking up hills with them. So that's how much I really needed that program at the time. I really wanted that love, affection, and time and energy that my counselors were giving me.
Yeah, and once you got your toenails trimmed, right, for like a better term, but once you got the toenails trimmed, you went back.
I went back. I think I went back 3 or 4 years later because I lost contact, and there was a lot of other things happening at the time in my life. I remembered. I think when I was 18, I remembered. I kind of forgot about it for a little bit, as it happens a lot. We see this happen where kids forget about it, and then we see people come back years afterwards. So I came back when I was 18 and started counseling. I've also seen it where like we see people that are like in their mid 30s and they're like, I want to come back. And it's amazing to see that they still remember this place, that they still remember the things they were told. I remember, well, now kind of being on the full-time staff, I think one of the first calls that I had was actually from a gentleman who was in his, I think he was in his 50s or mid 50s, and he hadn't been to camp in like, I don't know, 30 years, I think. He hadn't been to camp in 30 years, but he was calling up to see how he could help. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this guy hasn't been here for 30 years. And he talks about it the same way that I talk about it, the same way that our kids just getting off the bus talk about it. It's amazing how long these memories last.
That's awesome, and that just shows the impact this program has and stuff too. So, but hey guys, looks like we're getting close to running out of time. I want to make sure though that people watching, where can they go to find out more information about this?
Yeah, they can find a lot of information on our website, which is pylescamp.org. That's Pyles, Pyles, Pyles Camp. They can call our office at 661-294-1394, or find us on all the socials.
Okay, very cool. And it's funny because I thought about Gomer Pyle one time. I don't know if that's probably Ivan's too young for that, but there was he was kind of the goofy guy that always got into trouble and stuff, like in a funny way, like an old sitcom or something, wasn't it?
We have fun at camp, but no relation.
No. And real quick, let's see, we got someone checking in. Larry Savala, I was there in 1987, got reconnected in 2017. It's a life-changing experience. So very cool. He's even got a picture of the night sky, it looks like there. So I don't know if that's from camp, but very cool. Well, thanks, Larry. We appreciate that too. And Angelica just wants to say good morning. So good morning, Angelica. Thank you for checking in too. So yeah, hey guys, thanks so much for coming on the Groove in the Neighborhood. We appreciate you guys, and keep us posted too on future stuff coming up, whether it's fundraisers, the barbecue, the camping, and we'll stay in touch too. And thanks so much for coming on the show, and just awesome what you guys do. Really amazing and stuff too. So
yeah, thanks so much for having us and helping us get the word out about our program. We want to make the community better, and we couldn't do that without everybody pitching in a little bit. So thank you so much.
And I think we got time. One more question real quick, Ivan. What's your favorite thing about the program, about the camp?
My favorite thing as an adult is the experience of being able to give the same experience that I had to other kids. As a kid, though, and this is, I don't know if Adam talked about this, but it was filling a very basic needs. I think for me, one of the craziest things was that we got to eat 3 meals a day, and at the time, I wasn't necessarily used to that, but so every time when they served breakfast, I was surprised. When they served lunch, I was surprised. And then they served dinner, and I was like, "Oh, we get dinner, we get another meal on top of that." And it was just, it's a lot of food. And at the time, it was my favorite thing. And we get a lot of kids who compliment our cook, Draco. That's his camp name. So it makes me very happy to be able to give kids that.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, gentlemen. We appreciate it. And you guys watching, thanks for tuning in. Groove in the Neighborhood, what's happening in the 661. And in this edition, it is in surrounding areas. So thanks again, guys. And we'll stay in touch. Bye, everybody. Thank you.